Okay, hey guys. So tonight we're going to be talking about doing facial rigging. So facial rigging is going to be the final part of our series in rigging tutorials and lessons. So today I'm going to talk about kind of what a facial rig is, what it's meant to do, and what we can do in order to create one. Now, just kind of starting off with a character, a facial rig is really meant to allow us to have a character to be able to emote in the sense that the director of a film needs it to. So, for example, this character right here, whose name is Pango, she's my main character in my film, and so I need her to be able to talk. I need her to be able to lip sync to recorded audio. I need her to be able to show emotion um, in various ways, and and facial rigs will change depending on the type of character and what really the needs are for that character to be. Um, but in general, the way I'm going to be approaching this is we'll be doing a joint based system for rigging, which should be familiar because we've been doing this the entire time thus far using joints and controllers. But we're also going to be creating what's called a facial GUI. GUI is GUI, um, graphic user interface. And these allow us to control expressions on the face. So, like, say for example, if we want the character to smile, we can preset a smile for a character, or we can preset things like phonemes, which I'm sure you guys have heard of from your character animation courses, um, where the mouth will basically make a sound for the character to go ahead and start talking, basically so it can hit certain sounds really quickly to form words. So you guys have already kind of already done a couple things with facial rigging. With the leg rig, uh, you guys had the ostrich footsie character, and he had an eyeball, and he had an opening and closing mouth. All right, you guys did the same thing with the squid rig. So you're already familiar kind of with what we're going to be setting up with, but we're going to be working some other stuff in here. We're going to be working what's called blend shapes into the rig here. And then blend shapes basically are preset sculpted shapes that allow us to deform a character's mesh in a certain way. So blend shapes are really, really useful because I can have, different expressions and stuff very quickly made. So we're going to be using that in conjunction to a joint-based system. So let me go ahead and take her glasses off, and we can just take a look at the rig and see what's here. And I'm going to compare with some other rigs that I've done and show you kind of how I'm thinking about things. So for her, she needs to be able to talk, and so the very basic need, we have an opening and closing mouth. Additionally, we have things like a moving tongue. The moving tongue, I believe, is just a ribbon spine that's been created. We have just same thing as we had in the previous uh, leg day, or the leg rig. We have neck controllers, so we can control the neck. We have a base head controller or a neck top controller. I have a head master control. Like I said, we have the mouth control. I have lip controls. This allows me just to very finely control parts of the lips. And then we also have these controls. Now, this is the part of the facial GUI that I was talking about before. Technically, all of these controls are, But usually when someone talks about a facial GUI, they're referring to the offset controls that are sitting off to the side. It depends on the character rigs you use. Sometimes characters will have controllers right on the face, like these guys right here, or some will have controllers that are offset from the face, like this right here. And so with this one, this is actually running a couple of blend shapes that are basically set-driven key to positions on the characters on the controller. So when I go up, you'll see that he smiles. When I go down, you'll see that he frowns. And it's only on one side, you know, so it's not actually happening on the other. So if I want to do a full frown, I can take both controllers. And then I can also go up. And if I want to do a wide or a smooch, or a narrow or a smooch, really would be kind of considered the same thing. Basically, widening the mouth allows us to pull the corners of the mouth back. And then we can do the opposite. Which I can kind of pull the lips together. And so the kind of neat thing with this is that we can kind of control some of this. So I can pull the lips back in different directions to kind of get different expressions on the character's mouth. So we have a really neat kind of almost not really joysticky type of controller, but it has a lot of range of movement that we can kind of combine various blend shapes. So, yeah. We also have some joint and controller systems going on here with the brows. So I can kind of just move the brow around as I need to. Also have a nose controller so he can kind of wiggle his nose. And yeah, he's pretty, or she's pretty basic, I should say, but she works. And then on the look control, see the eyes actually control. And then under each one of the eyes is a separate nested left and right look at control. So I can kind of independently do each eyeball. Now, the neat thing with the look at control is I went ahead and put the blink on here. And the blink is actually a pre-sculpted shape that is being run by a set-driven key, the same way that the blend shapes here are being run by set-driven keys on the mouth for the mouth blend shapes. So this is kind of how I have this character's mouth or this character's face set up. Let me show you a couple others. This guy is Onimaru, and he was one of the main characters from my film Oni. So you see he has a ton of controls all over the face. These are all just little nerve spheres, and they're all attached to a single joint each, and they actually can basically give you a fairly good wide range of controllability with the face. Very, very easy to use. And then over here is the facial GUI that I actually ended up setting like individual expressions to. So while here I have these joints that I can kind of like, you know, give them a concerned brow raise or something like that, I actually have them fast fast loaded into blend shapes that I can then go in and very quickly make a facial expression with. And then if I need to tweak it, I can go into the controllers, kind of mess with the controllers a little bit. See, something like that. And then like the corners of the mouth, I can kind of lift the corner of the mouth like that. maybe pull up. Maybe the mouth a little bit kind of like he's unsure. He's like, yeah, okay, I guess we can do this. And then let's see, where is it? Blink controllers are here in the eye. So we can kind of do the eyes like that. And then you'll see that as I move the eyes around, you see how the lids actually follow the eyes a little bit. And so that's a little bit of weight painting that actually helps them follow. And so full disclosure, this face setup was made partially by using a system called Advanced Skeleton. It's a rigging plugin that gives you some really nice features that can take a long time to add in. Like, for example, a lot of this is actually created by using a dynamic system called Encloth. And so it basically allows you to kind of create facial expressions that kind of more uniformly pull at the mouth in the same way skin would by using a dynamic cloth system. Kind of acts like rubber bands in a way. So it's actually kind of cool. Let's see the mouth controller right here. You'll see I actually have some blend shapes loaded in for different phonemes. So like when he's talking, I can have him like pucker out. I can have him smooch. I can have him kind of pull the lips in and then purse his lips. So I can kind of get some really quick stuff going on there. And yeah. So it's pretty, this is a pretty advanced system. Although it gets quite a bit more advanced in the other rigs. Let's show you another one. This is Rony. He is a bit of a mix between the system that I put together for Onimaru, and he is one, and then kind of a mix between Onimaru and Pango. This one's actually all hand rigged. There's no plugins used for this. So I kind of fell back on my usual system of using the little controllers here on the sides to control mouth shape. And he was actually kind of difficult a little bit because his teeth come out from underneath the lips like this. And so I kind of had to work around making sure that the blend shapes when he's like smiling or frowning or growling or whatever always would wrap around those teeth. So here I have kind of like an angry expression, pulling back for a wide or a happy. And you see that each one of the sculpts actually do kind of wrap around that mouth. And then I still do have actually individual joints for the mouth shapes. So I can really kind of like just work that snarling expression if I want to. And then also with him, I actually sculpted his mouth open. So one of the difficulties with him, because again, his mouth is so strange, is that I actually needed to put in what's called a corrective blend shape, something that's activated in order to compensate for a limitation in the geometry. And so when I would open his mouth, you'll see that the lips kind of pull back, and you'll see there's kind of rubber banding shape going on here around the mouth. So that was all actually sculpted in. That's a blend shape that's activating as I'm opening the mouth wide, so I could get a more realistic movement. With his mouth shape, just putting a joint in and opening the mouth, you don't get this. This is a completely corrective shape that was made in order to achieve it. So this is, this is new. But he still has same stuff as before, with stuff around the brow. He's much more simplified again than Onimaru was, but he's got plenty of flexibility in that rig as a character. Honestly, he's a really fun rig. He's got a ton of controllers. He's got like these skirts and stuff, so he's really cool. Plus, he's got this badass sword. Love this thing. Anyway, blend shapes for the eyes. He's got 2 eye controllers. Same thing as Onimaru. Same thing as Pango. And I can open and close the eyes from the eye controllers. And you'll notice that I have when I set it to 0, that I can have just a normal eye shape. If I close them to -1, a value of -1, they kind of squint. And then if I go to a +1, they kind of get this surprise expression on the face. So again, that is 2 different blend shapes. And they're going from 2 different values on the set-driven keys. Value, basically the attributes at a value of -1, you activate one. A value of +1, you activate the other one. And then just like the other characters, we have neck controllers. And then a head controller. So very different characters, but you see the setups are all very closely linked in terms of kind of where I'm going with in the design language here for usability. And fun fact, you guys, your homework is you'll actually will be rigging this head. So that's what I'm going to go through today. So let's go ahead and open up this character and let's talk about kind of setting him up for rigging. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the mesh, just like always. I'm going to freeze our transformations. Going to delete all by type, history, and then we will rename our meshes. So his name is Rony, R-O-N-I, head mesh, or head geo, whatever works for you. Rony, horn mesh. Rony, eye, right, mesh. Rony, eye, left, mesh. And then you see these little discs in here. These are actually his pupils. All right, we'll get the tongue. Okay. All right, the rest of it's pretty much all teeth, but you'll need to rename each one of those teeth. Let's go and group it. Rony, Geo, group. And then let's go ahead and start putting some of these in some layers. So I'm going to go and add a layer. Rony mesh layer. And I'm going to go ahead and drop over to the side. We're going to start putting in some joints, okay? I'm actually going to put the horns on a separate layer just because they're so freaking big. We can kind of see the rest of the head a little bit more easily this way. All right, I'm going to go ahead and also make this wireframe so I can see through it. And then let's go ahead and go over to rigging. And we're going to go ahead and do create joints. So So with this character, since we're only doing a portion of the character, I'm actually going to start off with the joint that is going to be right above your top spine joint, which is going to be your neck base joint. That's going to be our quote unquote root. Okay, that's going to be where everything starts from. All right. Again, it's not a root joint, but it's going to be basically what our root is. All right, it's going to be the parent of everything else. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to do, we need, this will be kind of where the head base or the head pivot point is. So I need a couple of joints in here. So we're going to do 1, 2, and then head base. Okay. I'm going to do a head center joint and then a head top joint. All right. Let's go ahead and do a pivot joint for the jaw. So the jaw is going to move probably somewhere right about here. So let's do jaw pivot and then a jaw tip joint. Okay, I'm going to do another one. This is going to be basically a branching joint that your eyes and your nose are going to be attached to. So we're going to do a joint right here. It's going to go to the base of the nose, tip of the nose. Okay. And then we're going to do one right here. That's going to be a center eye joint. So kind of similar to how the center chest and the groin joint are where we branch off other joints. That's going to be the same exact thing. Okay. All right. So I think that's okay for now. And we're going to go ahead and do, I'm actually going to go ahead and duplicate this joint. And we're going to oh yeah, pivot point is down there. I want to need to actually reset my pivot points. So let's do modify center pivot. All right, center pivot. So it's centered pivot on, I don't know why it thinks that needs to be center pivot there. Let me go back into my center pivot option. It's not seeing, yeah, it still thinks that needs to be the center pivot. Okay, it's not really an issue because I got this is centered in here, so I should be able just to mirror this over. Should be fine. All right, so I need to go and create a joint. Let's just take this guy over here. Shading, X-ray joints. And so what I'm going to do is I need to get this joint in the center of this eyeball. Okay, so this eyeball will roll around inside the socket. So I'm going to go ahead and take, I'm going to go and take my, basically I'm going to be doing a reverse parent-child in order to move the joint to the center of the eyeball. So I'm going to do a parent-child, so I'm going to do eyeball joint. I'm going to go to constrain parent. But this time I'm going to go ahead and turn maintain offset, turn off. Maintain offset, remember, maintains the offset positions of different joints and controllers and objects. If I turn that off, it's going to snap it over. See that? Just popped it over. Joint 13, which is the joint we just created, didn't put that parent constraint on there. You'll see it now has a parent constraint. In fact, if I move that eyeball, you see that the joint moves around with it. So I have the position I want. I don't need that parent constraint anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and hit delete. And joint 13 is now positioned properly. And so I need to go ahead and mirror this over to the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and go to skeleton, mirror joints. It's going to be on the YZ and mirror it over. Okay. Let's go and double check and make sure these are in the right place. So just kind of eyeball it. Hey, get it? Eyeball it. Looks pretty good there. So yeah, I think we're good. Looks like it might be slightly over, but it's probably fine. So I think we're good. All right, let's go and take that. Take this one. Control D. I'm going to move them forward. These are going to be the eye look at joints. Wrong way. Child, parent. We'll nest them, so now they're pointing out. Just like that. Okay. All right, we're good. All right, let's go ahead and start naming and organizing these. So let's go and name this one, joint 1, neck, base, joint, neck, joint 1, neck, joint 2, neck, joint top, jaw, pivot, joint, jaw, tip, joint. I'll call this head center joint, head forward joint. Now the head center joint and the head forward joint, as well as the head top joint, none of those move. Okay. Nose base joint, nose tip joint. Okay. Eye center joint, left eye pivot joint, right eye pivot joint. And these will be the tip joints. Right eye tip joint. Left eye tip joint. Okay. All right, let's go and start attaching all this together. Jaw pivot. It's going to go into the head center. This is going to go into the head center. Both eyeballs are going to go into the eye center joint, and then those go into the head center joint as well, or the head forward joint. I'm sorry. Okay. Let's go ahead and start making some controllers. Let's go ahead and load. Let's go ahead words. And then source. There we go. All right. Let's go and group this. Joint group. All right, let's go and do some controllers. All right, so for this guy, I do need him to basically, these neck controllers have a bit of an angle on them since the neck is kind of angled forward. So let's go ahead and do that. Now I need to use an offset group in order to get it to work. So first thing I want to do is go ahead and actually freeze this transformation. So you'll see it's all zeroed out and the scales are set to 1 as it should be. I'm going to go ahead and group it to itself. And then I will center the pivot. There we go, center the pivot. So I can move that offset group as needed. Neck, base, offset group. And then the controller is going to be neck, base, con. Okay. So grab that controller. Evidently, I accidentally put it in a couple groups. Delete these. Double check everything, make sure it's good. And yep, we're good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just kind of angle this just a little bit. You'll see that it doesn't really fit that well. So I'm going to go ahead and actually grab control vertices, turn symmetry on. Grab some control vertices. Let me turn on some soft select with B as in boy. And then just kind of make this a little bit more of a custom controller, something that kind of fits the character's shape a little bit better. So something like that. Okay, looks good. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and grab that group. I'm gonna duplicate it. Snap it up to here. Turn that mesh off. Okay. And I don't think I need have it be quite as large, so we can kind of get a little bit more form-fitting to the mesh. Okay. I'll take that one. Do it again. Duplicating the offset group and going up to the next joint. Tilting it just a little bit. So something like that. Okay. And then for prisms, we can do, cube, sphere, whatever you really want. So maybe do a sphere. Try that out. I'm actually going to do a sphere that kind of fit around his head. It's actually going to be controlling this joint right here, but I want the shape to be big enough. Basically just wrap around his head like this. So let's go ahead and freeze those transformations, group it, center pivot, and then I'm going to rotate it to where it kind of matches the angle of the head a little bit. So something kind of like that. And if you want to, you could, you know, set up a cage or something, or it kind of like, you know, mimics the shape of the head or something, whatever you really want to do. Make it look interesting. So maybe something like that. It's kind of an odd shape, I suppose, but it can work. Okay. And then we can take this guy, and I'm going to go and move his pivot point to this joint right here. So that when it moves, it actually pivots from this position. And that's going to be the head joint or the head controller. Okay. So let's go and start naming things. Or I guess we're going to name things. We'll do head con. Then he has a offset group, head offset group. And let's go ahead and put these guys all in their respective organization. So basically, this is going to be an FK chain. So we're going to have that neck base con being the main parent, and then children of that are going to be the next controller, and then the child of that will be the next controller, and the child of that will be the next controller. Okay. So we'll go ahead and take the offset group 1. That's going to go under neck base con. Offset group 2 go under the next one right here. Actually, I do need to rename these. Head offset group is going to go under this one as well. So neck base con, neck 1, neck con 1, neck con 2, there we go. So that makes more sense. Okay. All right. So we got neck base offset group, neck base con, neck 1 offset group, neck con 1, neck 2 offset group, neck con 2, head offset group, and then head con. Okay, then we'll just go ahead and test these and make sure they're working. Boom, good. 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 Okie doke. And then let's go ahead and do the joint, or not the joint, the mouth controller. So I'm going to go ahead and just pop it over to the one for the mouth. Do a freeze. I'm going to go ahead and do it again, just like the other ones. Do an offset group, center pivot, mouth offset group, and then underneath that will be mouth con. Mouth con. All right, let's do the offset group. -90. Okay. I'm just going to freeze it real quick just because we can. And then let's go ahead and rotate down to where it basically lines up with the jawline, just like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the control vertices. I just realized this guy's sitting off center, so I need to fix that. Let me turn off my Object X. So let's get that offset group. There we go. That's a bit of a problem. Okay, let's do that. Take that offset group again. Just move it over. Okay. Okay. It's not perfectly centered. Let me redo this real quick. See how it's kind of offset from that controller right there? I guess, you know, honestly, it really doesn't matter because what I can do is just go in and just move the pivot point anyhow. So let's just do that. So move that pivot point, D, V, snap it there. So it's on the joint. Hit D again. Control vertice. Turn symmetry back on. Let's see. Still seeing. It's probably because it was still offset the whole time anyways. Let's just fix this. Okay. Shift P. I'm gonna get rid of that mouth offset group. Let's go ahead and rotate this guy back up here. I'm gonna zero this out. Let's do modify freeze transformations. So he's all completely frozen. Control G to group him. Okay. Mouth con. Now we should be able to rotate him. Let's center that pivot. Rotate it down. Okay. Control vertice. Are we doing it? Yes, there we go. See, now it's working. Okay, excellent. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and make a mouth con. So I'm going to grab, let's do the center vertex. Let's go ahead and move that down to here. I'm going to move the other ones down as well, so it'll make sense in a second. So something like that. So bring this out. Bring that out. We're just reshaping the controller, by the way. Nothing crazy. Just reshaping the control vertices. Okay. So yeah, there we go. Just kind of get this to kind of fit that extremely sharp jawline. And I think that'll work. So yeah, he's got a jawline for the controller. So looks good. I'm happy with that. I'm gonna go take the mouth offset group. I'm gonna go middle mouse, drag that under head con. Okay. Double check everything, make sure we're not getting any transformations. So just clicking on our controllers. Looks good, looks good, looks good, looks good, looks good. Okay. Let's save this real quick. Just in case. And then let's go ahead and do our lookout. So if you look at the character section, we have actually a vision controller that we can use. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that up to here. I'm going to go ahead and scale it out just a little bit, where it's approximately the same equidistance to each of the joints that are in the eyeballs. Let's move forward. It doesn't have to be, but it I don't know. I feel like it helps a little bit. All right, looks good. Freeze transformations. Look at con, and then you have your vision R and vision L. Okay. And then these guys, for the sake of this this rig, we'll go ahead and put this under the head con. I'm actually going to go ahead and group it to itself. And then I'm going to take that look at, put that under the head con. Now, the reason why I say for the sake of this rig we're doing this is because basically that means that, of course, this look at is going to always follow the head, which is what we've done. I mean, we had that with the squid. We had that with the leg day rig, where the eyes were always following. Wherever the head looked, the eyes followed, and then we can operate the eyes independently. You know, but that's not always how we want the. That's not how we always want it to work. With a lot of rigs, you'll see characters with eyes that don't follow. You'll see how his eyes do follow here, but if I go in and turn off follow, they actually will follow the look at controller instead of the head. See how they're independent now? And the look at controller is actually staying outside, and it's not actually connected to the head anymore. So that's actually a really useful thing. This is something, you may, well, if you think about how humans actually look at objects, we tend to target things. Even though we're moving around, we tend to look around and we tend to go from target to target to target. And the way that we can achieve this in a rig is basically through the use of set-driven keys that we can switch off and on who actually is controlling the look at. So the look at controller, this guy, the eye controller, it has actually two parents. One parent is the head controller, which is this. And then when we go ahead and click on the eye controller and change follow to 10, you'll see it snaps over to wherever the head controller is. And we can move it within that vicinity. We do whatever we want. But then if we turn off the follow, it actually switch over to another parent, which is going to be the world controller. So this guy. So if we, so basically what we're doing is we're just switching between one parent and the other. And this is very similar to, or it's like, well, not just similar, it's very much exactly the same setup that we had with the IKFK switch. By switching back and forth, we can basically say, hey, I want you to follow the world, or I want you to follow head controller. And so then we can get that independence with the icon, okay? So that's pretty important thing to think about. But again, for this particular rig, we're gonna just put it under the head con. Now, that's not to say that I might not ask you later on to create a rig that allows you to switch the parent of this eye controller. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. We'll see. But it might be something that pops up in a later assignment. Although you don't have too many more later assignments, I guess. So it might be just one assignment that comes up. Anyway. But it's very useful to have. So let's go back to this guy. So like I said, he's going to be under the head controller. All right, so we have the draw controller. Let's go ahead and do a nose con. Let's do a little flat one right here. And we're just going to go and shrink it down a little bit. And I'm going to go and move it to the tip. Just like that, okay?